to fully reintegrate it.
Part of the Paper X branding. Now we're looking at Texture and Jing. I am so curious about today to see this match up between these two guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's where things are going to get really spicy. I mean, one of the maps that you really would love to see in the pool is something like Split, where that double duelist also comes in for the side of Gen G. Get Meteor versus something on the Jet battle, Texture versus Jing on the Rays, and just really see who's going to be able to take over. I think that there's so many things that are just tantalizing to think about when it comes down to this matchup, and it's kind of a blessing that it's already the third time we get to see it this year, or no, the fourth time this year. Sorry. Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
It's gonna be super sick, and I know a lot of people are excited. The stadium's actually full. It's packed to the brim for these two matchups today. Now we're looking at the historical data between these two teams and their map ban picks just for this year. And you can see Paper X is not a fan of Icebox and Breeze, especially early on. I think we saw that kickoff early on in Breeze, and they're like, we're going to stop playing Breeze.
Yeah, I mean, Icebox, I'm thinking of, when I think Paper X Icebox, I think about CTRS coming in and playing Gecko. Way before Gecko was even thought about being meta on that. That's when it was a troll pick. As like a last raw send-off for it.
It was like a, why not? Let's try it.
And Gen G, on the other hand, loves to ban Sunset. Also, I think, partially inspired by Paper X. Yeah, you see Paper X play at Sunset, you're like, we're also going to keep banning that.
Exactly. They started banning Sunset after that kickoffs game in the group stage where they lost to Paper X. Ever since then, it's a full-on Sunset ban. But that's why today's matchup is going to be so interesting. Map picks are going to determine how this series will go. Okay.
They still don't want to play Sunset. Gen G still doesn't want to play Sunset.
Paper X doesn't want to play Breeze, and Gen G.
Well, not against Gen G.
Gen G are picking Lotus into Paper X.
Interesting.
I would have thought for sure they'd go for Icebox.
Yeah.
Given that it's open, but
Paper X are the ones picking Icebox.
Paper X is. Wait, they chose Icebox. This is.
Yes.
I hope it's not another troll pick, because the last time they picked Icebox, it was a troll pick.
I don't know. Look at Alex. It doesn't seem like it's a troll pick, unless he's thinking something in his head with that smile.
Does he look like it's a troll face? I don't know.
Okay, I have many questions. Gen G are doing the Gen G thing and taking their time, though, with this second ban.
No, yeah, whoever is tuning in for this match, you're going to have some good stuff happening.
They're kind of stunned. They're like, why Icebox?
Yeah, that's a big question for me. But also, what do you want to ban here as Gen G? I mean, Paper X, with Jing in the roster, that's not where they've been running like the crazy, triple duels or anything like that on Split. So
Bind, perhaps, like.
He's showing him the one. Calling time. This isn't a poker table, Alex.
Wow. Oh, they went and banned split.
Oh, no split. Okay.
Because maybe like
Maybe
anticipating the triple duelist.
I think
Actually, maybe with Jing, the triple duelist
That Euro
could be viable.
composition that they had, that was something that Gen.G struggled with a little bit. But then, you know, you have to banish it. Yes, thank you, Alex.
okay. So bind for the last map. I mean,
Oh.
Okay.
I think really just depending on how this icebox looks and what they have ready to go, this feels very heavily weighted towards Paper X's favor, to be honest, as far as the map draft is concerned, just at a glance.
Even with Icebox?
That's what I'm saying. It
Because they
hinges
picked
on
it.
that.
Because
But
they picked Icebox.
Lotus, I think
Yeah.
these teams can go blow for blow. The
Yes.
bind, I think, a little bit more yet to be determined for Gen G as far as what their overall strength is going to look like on that map. But Paper X, well enough first on it historically.
So
So
if
I
Icebox
feel like they have a
goes,
slight edge here.
Yeah.
Why are we still on this? Are they like, are you sure about this?
I'm picking this
Oh,
aside.
yeah, okay. I thought they were like, are you sure this is...
But it takes a
Your
while
final
because
pick.
you want to be very careful about which side you start on, especially against a team like Paper X.
On bind, too.
That's the thing is, yeah, and Gen G electing to go for attack side first on bind. So I'm really curious what they're going to have for that. This is going to be interesting. It is worth noting, I should say, that we do have the Paper X
Oh, I love this so much.
gun up here. It's only we would have both, but the Korean desk had to take the Gen G one. And we only
Oh.
have
They're
one.
happy to
We only
take
have
that
one
one.
copy of each gun, but these things look so clean.
They look really... Yeah, they're great.
And they're on display downstairs. Like
Yeah.
the
You can
fans
fire
can
We
them.
have
go up
Yes.
to the...
all 11 teams are on display, but we decided to steal the 2 teams that are playing at any given time and split them amongst the analyst desks.
That's right. But it's cool. This is really cool, guys. And if you want to see it up close, you can buy it in Valorant,
That's true.
the bundle, and
In
then you
the-
can stare at it.
What about
And the
in real
Gen G
life?
one. We have to
And the
be
Gen G.
bipartisan here.
Absolutely. And which is also a great bundle with the Tiger and everything. Predictions. What's it going to be?
Well,
I think this is a healthy mix, and
This is
I
a
think
very
that that's
healthy
good
mix.
to see because we have had some pretty landslide predictions in the past couple matches, and I think that this is pretty much the first map that really is a 50-50 at a really high level.
So why Gen G?
yes, that's the question.
I mean, it just I think strictly because of just recency bias. They've been able to best them the most recent times that they scored off against each other. Yes, Jing does come back in, and overall, I think that the team looked good, but I think that they have way more catching up to do compared to Gen G. Both teams just recently got back from travel. Gen G only need to focus on resting for the most part, whereas Paper X need to focus on both resting, having Jason not be sick,
Yep.
and then also, developing, creating new set plays, new strategies that they're going to have coming into these maps. So I think that they have more work to do with way less time.
For me, it's kind of like a pure faith pick, but also I feel like Paper X is a team that would have tricks up their sleeves, so I'm kind of hoping to see that, but I'm a little bit more curious, for Kilios. After seeing this map pick, after seeing Icebox coming in, would you, kind of flip-flop a little bit?
I mean, the fact that they, don't that they go to Icebox, I think it does lend itself to thinking that Paper X have something up their sleeve, that they're going to be
Paper
doing
X.
something incredible. But I'm still going to go with Gen G. I mean, they've showed their perseverance. I think again that Lotus is a little bit of a toss-up. I think it's a bold choice.
Okay.
But
I want you to finish your statement after we invite Coach Alex up here with us, so
With
you
the
can
coach.
explain
By all
yourself.
Right here.
So let's welcome Coach Alex from Paper X.
Yes, please.
our
I was just,
favorite coach.
Getting
Hello, hello.
ready, dude.
Hi. Welcome back.
You like the icebox curveball?
We
Yeah.
love it.
Was that a troll pick? Like last time you picked it was a troll pick. It wasn't a mistake,
That was
right?
not a troll pick. Like last time, I promised Kla that he's going to play one game. We practiced for 5 weeks. And then they told us Icebox is leaving the map pool, so we had to pick it.
Okay.
It's a integrity thing.
It's still staying in the map pool this
Justified.
time, just so you
Yes.
know.
Yeah, so now it's slightly better prepared.
did you know at that time that when he played Gecko there that it was going to end up being the meta on Icebox?
No, but I mean, but
You guys invented
Yes.
it.
Yes.
There you go.
we're Gecko, like, we
You're a
love Gecko.
genius.
I'm-
You're so smart.
It's not me, actually. It's Kla.
It's Claw. Okay.
He's actually the one that's created the Gecko meta in the world, right?
That's
'Cause
true.
He's
He's
the only
only-
Gecko main.
That's true.
Whereas-
Now, thoughts on Achilles' Gen G prediction?
You know, I'm a superstitious guy, so... And I'm not a stats guy, but I need to know your hit rate.
Look, I have to go with the recency, and I think that you guys have had your hands full with needing to reintegrate Jing into the team. One of the things we talked about last time you were on the desk was, can we expect anything new? And the answer is no. We've had 5 days of practice.
And now we have
there's not
9.
that much time.
We have 9 now.
Well, yeah, now it's 9 days.
Little bit
So
better.
I'll be curious to see if there are going to be some overarching changes in the comps and strategies and whatnot. But I think that Gen G, it's been a little bit easier for them to just kind of hone in since they got back from
For
Madrid.
Icebox, you mean?
But just
In
generally.
general? I mean, they didn't have much time either, you know, like, all of us, we both came back like 1 day apart, so...
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if they took a short break, it would have been 9 days of practice as well, so it's quite fair, in fact.
I want to ask you about your results in Madrid.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys got third, which was awesome, but I think you guys seem a little bit unsatisfied with those results too. What were some of the learnings from Madrid against Gen G?
Alright. I'm quite satisfied.
Are you? Okay, I was mistaken.
No, I mean, Madrid. I think we went there a little bit low confidence, you know, and we were trying to fix our mindset mostly. So I think getting the third, we managed to get match practice in, you know, get stuff out of the way, like discuss with each other, try to make sure that we are aligned again. I think we took a step in the right direction there. So as far as I'm concerned, very satisfied for whatever happened in Madrid.
Do you think Gen G's improved since Madrid, based on the performance you saw last week?
Yeah, you can really see them adding things in their Lotus. In Madrid, some teams are using specific Viper mollies to control A-main from defense side. As soon as they came back, I can see their molly in their game against Talon, so I know they're actually still working the map pool. And I think, yeah, if they pick Lotus against us, I think they know that that's their strongest map.
I am a little bit curious about Lotus, but I do think that picking Icebox is like 200 IQ genius move. But if there is anything to watch out for Gen G, like what would you say that is? Like what's their
On
strongest
Icebox or
thing?
in general?
In general.
I mean, they're coming off like full confidence, you know. Sure, you lose the finals, but I thought it was very, very close. You know, it could have gone either way. It's enough to give you the boost you need, you know, to say, okay, I'm coming back to my region. The game should be easier, and we've beaten PaperX twice, you know. So I think we're gonna play against a very confident Gen G, and I'm hoping that we fight them, you know. I hope there's gonna happen like a brawl.
I have one last question. It's actually for both of you.
Another one.
no.
What's it gonna
How's
be?
your day going?
Well, it's going great.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Did you
it's
eat
doing
the
great.
snacks?
For both of us?
Just wanted to
Good,
catch
good,
up.
good.
Make sure everyone's just vibing.
So far, so
Yeah.
good. So far, so good.
Doing good?
Chill.
Any stress eating so far today?
Stress eating?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, good.
I'm on diet now, you know. I'm trying to.
How are you? That's great. I love to hear that. Well, thank you so much, Coach. All the best.
Bye bye.
Aw,
감사합니다. 감사합니다.
Kamsahamnida.
so much respect. I love it.
Yeah. I did want to ask about Jing, but you know, he's got to go down and coach. And I'm curious how Jing is going to be performing this time. I think Kilios you made a great point about Jing's performance. While phenomenal, there were shaky moments in his gameplay.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think that we expected that, whether it was a roster change or not, given that the teams were traveling back from Madrid. But, you know, I think that roster change just kind of compounded and added on to what would have been fairly normal shakiness that you see, you know, post-event. So I think that it is going to be a stronger team coming into this. I like Alex talking about Lotus right there, saying like, okay, you know, we do have to be a little bit concerned about this, even though it's a very comfortable map for us. If Gen G are going to be picking that into us, they clearly feel very confident on it, and I think that goes, you know, the opposite side for that Icebox pick. So this could just end up being neither team wins on their map pick, but we go to 3. I very well could see that happening.
I would love to kind of see that happening. I feel like Gen G's Lotus is really strong, but I am curious about what the agent picks would be, because Icebox coming in then, Jing, is it going to be still that Raze or back to a Sage, a Battle Sage? What's it going to be?
Well, we're going to find out really soon. We're going to go down to the stage, so welcome the players.
It's the rematch, the pride of Pacific, Gen G and PaperX, 2 teams that were at the top 3 of the world recently at Masters Madrid. But another side to the story is PaperX going through the never-ending Korean gauntlet to try to buy back the hearts of the Korean fans once again here in Seoul. My name is William, joined by Paper Thin, and we'll be bringing you this first match of the night. And boy, what a way to start.
No, I mean, this is like a day that you had to have had marked on your calendars once you saw the Stage 1 schedule come out. Obviously, this could be another rematch coming into our Stage 1 finals. You know, today could just very well be like what the semifinals could be. I mean, like, it's such an exciting day overall. So, like, you want to see some interesting stuff here from both teams. I would Jing back. It's going to be interesting with Paper X pretty much no matter what.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part here is that this Gen G squad, obviously individually they've done it before, but as a team, they've actually never played against the Jing version of Paper X, right? They never met each other during the off season, and now they'll have to go through this new iteration. So I'm really curious, how does that affect Gen G, and of course, how does it affect Paper X, as the desk was discussing that. But now it's time to see how all the players are looking, getting ready for their match today, trying to get a couple more championship points, and of course, leading their group to try to secure their spot into the playoffs. First up, it's going to be Gen G, of course, followed by their nemesis now in Pacific, Paper X.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great storyline coming into this year with the way that already both of these teams have had to square up against each other multiple times, including at Masters Madrid. So this is really, really interesting. You know, with Paper X, going back to what worked for them previously last year when they got second at Champs with Jing in the lineup, you know, it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be high-octane gameplay for sure. But Gen G, in my opinion, does a pretty good job managing some of those teams that try to get aggressive against them, that try to push space, that a team like Paper X is definitely going to try to embody. We know that. We've seen it time and time again. So let's see exactly how both teams are going to kind of move their chess pieces around against each other. And with Lotus as a start, a map that both teams are pretty familiar with, so it's going to be really fascinating.
Yeah, I'm glad that there's not going to be any asterisks here in that first map, right? The second map of Ice Box, obviously some question marks still remain, but in this first map, sure, Gen G, a very comfort pick. And while this is one of those maps that's always plagued Paper X in terms of how do we figure out our own meta, do we even follow the regular meta, etc., they've always been able to at least put up great numbers on it, win or lose. Of course, most recently still showing that they are willing to return to that double duelist with Something and Jing at the helm.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a lot of that today, most likely. You know, definitely Something is very comfortable on the Jet, Jing very comfortable on the Raze, and they're good enough and they're smart enough that they can make those kind of things work. So, just curious on Lotus. Every once in a while, Paper X, you know, likes to mix it up a little bit, you know what I mean? But they will throw in the Reyna maybe sometimes with Something, but generally I think you can expect the Jet Raze and then some other things to follow. And that other things do kind of change from time to time. Sometimes Forsaken does move away from the Cypher.
Yeah.
It all just kind of depends on what they've been able to cook up, and like they were talking about during the interview, right? Haven't had a ton of time here for Paper X. So I would expect some pretty comfortable agent picks would be my guess.
Yeah, it's actually very, I found it quite amusing that Coach Alex said that they think they're pretty much on even ground, because while sure, you both had the same amount of time after returning from Madrid, again, this Gen G squad got to basically use now Masters Madrid as experience to continue building on as a whole team, whereas Paper X, it's readjusting, of course, to their old form, their old core, but readjusting nonetheless. I mean, they've talked about it even in that their opening match here at Pacific of Jing needing to get used to the current meta, right? What pros are doing in scrims and in matches, things like that. So we'll see. Was 1 week enough to get Jing really dialed in perfectly? Because we saw a lot of hits of their old colors in that first week.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you know, it's funny, you know, Jing was watching all the matches, obviously. He was co-streaming Masters Madrid, but then I was talking to them and he said even when he got into the games, like for the practice again, he said already Paper X was playing way different than he was expecting. It was still taking him time to get into things. So it's, even though you watch it, even though you've seen it, even though you think you kind of understand the concepts, it's actually playing at that speed is very, very difficult at the pro level because things change so quickly like you're talking about.
Well, there's not going to be any changes for this map, though, in terms of composition. Gen G going with the stock standard, the Fade on top of the Raze, and meanwhile, Paper X still sticking with the single controller, but going with double duelist, Something and Jing. Of course, Jing kind of leading the charge a lot whenever they do this. Something really there for the trades, the opping, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really exciting to watch. I think especially the way that Divide can work with Something on this Sky, I think is really impactful. The way he can set him up with those guiding lights is often really destructive. Like, Paper X is a team that has a lot more success taking the A site than most teams do on Lotus because of that combo, because of the ability of Ilya. And he also changes up his guns, right? You've seen him take the Judge and things like that.
Yeah.
The Shorty, very, very powerful on some of those corners. And it's a lot of Divide oftentimes setting him up for those close quarters engagements.
We'll see Gen G, how do they prepare against it? Coach Alice gave them credit for already adapting to things they had picked up from Masters Madrid. But now with Paper Rex just peering into the notes against Gen G, how well can they adapt in game? We will kick off map 1 of this best of 3. It's a rematch of the kickoff finals, and it could be a preview of upcoming finals as well in the future. Gen G on defense versus Paper Rex on attack.
No doubt, a duel of the fates, it seems to feel like, for 2024. So very excited to see exactly how this is all going to shape out. And already kind of a different look here for Gen G on this pistol round. 3 right down to B.
Ooh.
And I think they have a pretty decent read on what Paper Rex likes to do. You're going to see this. These 3 in particular play a lot together on this map on the defender side. The Fade, the Raze, and the Omen. The combos here really, really devastating with the Haunt into the Paranoia, the Blast Packs. The smokes are really well placed by Karon. I went back and watched some of the VODs of this map. I'm so impressed with the way Karon plays Omen.
Yeah, I mean, he's really grown into one of his own, and it's going to be a read, but Jing's going to get the first shot and leading in numbers as well. Paper Rex not going to pick up the tempo, though, with the counter paint shows coming out. Slows them down, and now just leaving a lurk. They will reset to explore other parts of the map. Now rotating over to Mound, they would have control of the revolving door as well.
This is huge. They get the heals off as well from Divine. So yeah, Mindfreak taking quite a bit of damage there in that exchange, but able to get him up a little bit. The door is open, and looks like Paper Rex is really highly considering a full-on C-exec.
Yeah, but despite the heals, of course, not all topped up just yet. Munchkin, can he get the nice shots in through? And the Poison Cloud comes up with Forsaken. He still somehow crouches through, continues moving forward, dodges the bullets. And now Texture. I mean, it's a 2v3. No real point of waiting for backup. He's got to dwindle the numbers, but he's been checked out through that one-way. Meteor now on the backup, and Paper Rex, they've taken their post-plant positions, 3 spread apart with crossfires all the way through. But a nice headshot from Meteor, kicks things up, and before he catches the trip, he's got to get the second, down to a 1v1, and Texture already wrapping around. Gen G will recover the pistol round for a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I think Paper Rex is going to be kicking themselves a little bit after that one. Unaccounted for. That late push from Meteor, still had a Paranoia, still had a flash in hand. They weren't able to confirm any of that information, get an idea of where they're coming from. Divide just straight up loses that battle to Meteor. And certainly Mindfreak trying to do what he can, but Gen G there, well read, even though they lose that opening play there, Jing just gets a drive-by with the Frenzy. And even though they're able to heal him up fully, they're able to track the movements of Paper X quite nicely. Shift their weight over to that C site, and Meteor so clean on this map on that Killjoy. He's so devastating post-plant. He's so smart with his timings. He's so accurate. Such a difficult player to deal with.
And that's exactly who Paper X is going to be meeting up with here in round 2. Taking that ult orb on C, but they're not going to push just yet. Of course, set up their own one-way for a little bit of delay. Of course, a lurk already coming through for Paper X as well. A lot of movement around the map, trying to make sure that they have options moving forward. The alarm bot tripped, gotten rid of, and now took a little bit of damage on the side of Forsaken, but of course with the Sheriffs, they're just looking for these one-taps. They've pushed C, they've pushed B. Now setting their sights onto the A side, pushing Karon back on a timing.
And he's going to have a smoke back up in a second. Let's see if they can take advantage of that. They're going to try to make an entry of it, and Karon, knowing that he's all alone, just going to back off. Yeah, it's really smart of him. He knows that this is likely a death ball coming at him.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the eco, especially with Paper X and Texture, not going to greet it either. They recognize the push has come through. Karon just going to look to hold close quarters with a Spectre stuck on tree. But look at this. Gen G already aware of the possibility of a rotate back into B. Meteor, he's been blinded, but now he's got his sights back. Lakia there, but still a 1-for-1, 2-for-2 trade for Paper X. Pushing heaven, picking up weapons. Texture recognizes the danger, has to keep them at bay. Now it's all 3 members of Gen G pinching onto the site. Karon takes care of 1. The double of Paper X stuck on heaven. Texture just keeping them at bay until his teammates are able to pinch in. But Divine gets a kill on the drop. Karon hoping for backup from Texture, and they'll both get a kill each at the same time, recovering the anti-eco.
Yeah, great patience at the end from Gen G. This is something that has made them so successful this year, is they're rarely not attacking together when there's at least a couple players left. Like, the trades are great, the flank timings are really, really good. That means the communication is really, really good for Gen G. A great Paranoia from Mindfreak to bust this open, and a couple great shots to back it up. Left Meteor very uncomfortable there. Karon there working that Spectre very nicely against the Guardian, not giving it really much opportunity to find an easy headshot from that angle. So well played by him, buying time as well. So very nice for Gen G. So they get the expected win, but still a decent amount of damage done here by Paper X. Leaves it on only a couple Guardians, some Ghost, and 2 Sheriffs.
Yeah, I mean, you lost a Bulldog and a Guardian, right? Bought triple Guardians there to try to really snowball things forward as both teams trying to have a bit of a skirmish to control rubber. It's going to be a late delay from Gen G. We've seen a lot of teams adjusting to this. It's going to be a high-low from Karen as well, off of all the util masking the sound. And that is Rubble taken over. No weapons dropped on the side of Gen G, just said upgrades coming through. But Forsaken, we've seen him lurk through so early once again from Baby Door. It's gonna be a triple. Can he get yet another ace? He seems to do it every time here on Lotus. And now Gen G spread apart, having to fight solo on either side of the map, while Paper Rex, they'll be grouping up as 3. They don't want to make the same mistakes. They want to make sure that they're there for trades. But Meteor has led them on a bit of a wild chase all the way around the site. Texture gets spotted by the cam. Looks like, Gen G, they may not have time to really activate anything here with the remaining timer of the spike.
Texture able to upgrade the gun, cannot win the duel against Devi though.
And it's just Meteor, who doesn't actually have a weapon either, so he'll have to go for whatever damage he can get, trying to isolate the 1v1s. He gets one. Oh, I thought he might be able to get 2. Of course, the spike's still ticking down. It's going to be the round win for Paper Rex.
This is a really interesting execute here. Not an execute, like a space take for Gen G, let's put it that way. They did not do anything quite like this when they played Talon. This is a very different look there.
But Talon did this against them, right?
Exactly,
a lot of that delayed retake of Rubble.
No, exactly. So this was like something they weren't really doing, and the combos they used here are a little bit different. Karon was rarely getting up on top of Rubble. It's usually allowing Texture to work the backside of Rubble, while Karon smokes for him and paranoias for him, and then the Fade is there to grab a haunt to try to get a reveal for Texture. Very different look. This is much more like what they usually do on these takes. You can see a Boombot this time to clear that space. Really well read here by Paper Rex. This was something Talon never really addressed, and Karen's going to go to try to get up top again. Paper Rex doesn't want to mess with this right now. They're going to wait things out, spread the map a bit.
Tries to reposition on a timing there, and something will get the peak. Munchkin recognizing that he didn't really have an exit, want to get close to one side or the other, but he will be picked off. That forces Gen G to reinforce their B site, and that's just going to leave something here as a distraction on the side of Paper X. They'll even open the door to make sure that backup does not arrive onto the C site. Meteor, can he hold on to this alone? But it's going to be a perfect paranoia, and he's been surrounded. He's just trying to stay alive, but it's too many members, and now the flood of Gen G that used to be so perfect has been broken apart into just a couple drops. Paper X, all alive, spiked down, and looking forward to a flawless round here.
Yeah, it's just so difficult to play against the speed and aggression of Paper X and the combos of all that utility flying in there. Time and time again, every team in the world that's had to face them has had to deal with it. And you never quite know what to expect because the timings are always a little bit different. They're always a little bit uncharacteristic from what you saw in their previous replays. Like they're kind of shifting how and when things happen with their utility. Like the paranoia might come a little bit later. The guiding light might come a little bit later. Things like that make it really difficult. You can see Meteor there just had no idea what to do on the C side. He's just trying to find some kind of safety, and there was none.
Yeah, and I think a lot of something that Paper X has learned as well is that Gen G will oftentimes be prepared for those trades, right? So they don't want to take any chances. If you're going to go into the site, we might as well dump everything we have. Make sure that we are coming out on top, because that is something that plagued them both times where they made up against Gen G so far in 2024. Take a look at some of these replays as they just barrel into the C site. Now, as we see the adjustments coming in on both sides, it's going to be Gen G who's going to be lacking the credits. We'll still have a couple of rifles. They're going to force up to a certain extent, just towing that line for a half armor buy, and of course a Marshal for Meteor. And we're not going to see any of the ults come line, as Texture, of course, already sent to Showstopper.
Never count out Meteor with a Marshal. He's one of the best in the business with that gun. The deeper paint shells this time, no space taken off of it, just trying to bully them away a little bit, although the cam did go up here for Paper X, so they know that they can push a little bit further. They could take advantage of this site, which maybe Gen G is expecting them to have backed off a little bit. Now, Forsaken over towards B as well. Really important here.
Paper X, they recognize that if no one's pushing Rubble after that utility, somewhere else there has to be more info, and they're going to start to combat for that space, and Forsaken is going to have a great time to take over B side as the rest of the main force is starting to pressure A, drawing out a lot of utility from the defending team. During this, Forsaken on the minimap, checking out the entry points into B. Will he have a timing? Meteor has his eyes set, but Paper X, they just want to pinch in. They realize with the number of utility flying into A, it's going to be a safe bet. Now Jin going all the way far back, perhaps way too far ahead of his team. No backup there. A rifle dropped for Gen G to pick up. This could be a bit danger. Paper X recognizing that, they'll start to push out.
That was tough there for Jin. Couldn't quite get his aim under control. Maybe seeing a little bit of that rust on him. Gen G gonna realign for this retake. 3 gonna pressure Forsaken here. They've got a crossfire set up.
Yeah, it looks like Gen G, they just want to make sure that they're able to pick up a couple more weapons before they go in, and look at that, a triple peak, high-low crouch as well, but now it's back to a double from the side of Paper X. They're not letting this go yet. Mind Freak will spray down the remaining members, and Texture all alone with a Sheriff, can't make the magic happen this time. Paper X will be taking over the lead, 3-2.
I mean, Mind Freak looking really sharp here today on this Omen, not only with his utility, but his shooting. Crisp as heck, 7 kills so far for him. Showstopper for Jing, a little bit whiffy, but you know, Jing just taking a little bit to get into it. We've already seen that after a couple maps. He felt pretty comfortable in the first go-around against T1, so certainly expect him to pick up the pace. And are we going to see one of those quintessential off-the-rip fast hits from Paper X? The double satchel, yeah, exactly. The double satchel into the showstopper. Definitely something to be considered for Gen G for sure.
Yeah, Paper X, they've already taken him out. They're not masking any sound here. It looks like they're going to be ready for a Boombot scent as well, trying to make sure that Meteor cannot combat this. He doesn't have much to work with. All his Yuto already taken down, but it's Charon here for backup. Munchkin as well, opening the door. They actually get fired back upon. Mind Freak is just continuing the spree as he takes one down, and that opens up a timing here for Paper X to enter the site. Meteor, can he hold on to it? No, the flash is too good. The paint shells will keep him tied up, and the showstopper will make sure no one else from Gen G can approach as Charon eventually gets taken down from the lurk of Forsaken as well.
Forsaken didn't have his gun out, and still Charon couldn't quite get him in time. So tricky to deal with. That showstopper comes out, and Forsaken's already lurking on your back lines. Ooh, the dig through the wall there by Texture.
Doing some damage, but there's just so much to get through, and you don't have much space to work with. Lakia will still be able to fire back against Jing, but a lot of that timer's already run down. The spike ticking away. They're still going to go for it. Prowler on pressure for Texture to run in, seemingly wanting to take advantage of that low health on the dink. And it's going to Texture. He lands just onto the tripwire, and at this point, Lakia, he doesn't have a way out either, just trying to fight for his life, making sure that they do not chase. And it's just the lone Vandal saved up. Forsaken on the hunt. He knows that he just has to try to go for a run and gun, but will not greed for it either. Stabilizes at a 4-2.
Yeah, it's really interesting because normally you expect Paper X to kind of just come at you off the rip, you know, when Jing's got a showstopper and things like that, but they're slower with it. They're not quiet about it because the footsteps were being given away. It's almost like Paper X is trying to bait out Gen G a little bit to see what their reactions are going to be here early, to see what they can get away with. And when that double door opens, Mind Freak is so crisp right now. He's just ready for it. Gets one, does a ton of damage to another, and then Jing able to perfectly place his paint shells, use that showstopper to push them towards Forsaken. Forsaken a little bit lucky to get away with his kill on Charon, but still the ideas for Paper X are really, really good right now.
Yeah, just a lot of adjustment, having learned from their previous matchups, understanding that Gen G will always have a plan to provide backup. If not, the site's going to be left empty, right? They have things like the lockdown. So Paper X not wanting to take any chances of dumping things into the void and then getting flooded upon. Really understanding the habits of Gen G, and I think this is one of those maps where Gen G is starting to get tested all the way to their limits. How much deeper does your kind of baseline fundamental playbook go, right? It's not about the set plays anymore, it's about how you're adjusting to the tempo of the opponents. We'll have to see how much their homework has been done as we take a look at round 7. The Econ once again quite broken on the side of Gen G, just the lone Vandal carried over, and Meteor will be relying on a trusty old Marshall once again, up on the other side for something.
And these wins are so huge for Paper X because they keep those ults in a weird cycle. They're not able to really get those down and start cycling them back again. So you're just, you know, essentially eating through ult orbs that you would love to have. Instead, they're not able to really get like the Nightfall there, the lockdown as well in play in that previous round. Able to find any availability to use them. That works so nicely in Paper X's favor. And by the way, this is a map where both teams are really good on their defender side usually. Gen G has been really stalwart in their defense on this. Now they're going to overstack C, kind of expecting that this has been where Paper X feels like they have a good read onto Meteor and his positionings.
Yeah, but backup all arrived, right? And this is even with that snake bite to try to fake them out away from A site. It's going to be Texture who's trying to make sure he blocks him up, but he's a little too scared to fire the first shot. Wants to line him out, and that gives time for Jing to turn around for a double. Uncharacteristic of the star duelist of Gen G to hesitate on the trigger. Let the round slip away. Charon, the rookie, last one alive, and Forsaken continuing the jiggle for another round win.
It's just incredible the timing and the coordination you can already find here. You know, you're just going to dive in with the shorty as you would kind of expect, but then you have Jing up on the box to cover you as well, so this execute's so good. The late paranoia right on top of Munchkin there. Even if he had maybe gotten a kill on Jing or something like that, didn't even matter, but still, love what Paper X is doing. Really nicely timed hits. They're kind of waiting things out, feeling out Gen.G enough. And then they're able to do what you were talking about earlier, Will, that they're just dumping utility when they know they can get value out of it. And that's been really powerful. Big hit. Trade. Oh, Meteor and Terra.
As well. Mind Freak trying to stabilize, but eventually goes down. And Paper Rex really choose to stay and fight. Forsaken wondering if the Prowler would spot him. It does eventually, but he's on duty now. He has to lead the forces as something still sticking with the operator for the time being.
Here.
Both trying to open up the right side of the map. Targeting B-site and Rubble. Something's going to make a lot of noise, waiting for Forsaken to gain some intel in the middle of the map. And Gen.G, they don't want to fall for this. They're trying to make sure they group up all the way in Defender's spawn and make sure they don't let Forsaken know of their whereabouts. Spike plant, heard by Meteor. Going to enter onto drop, and it looks like it's just going to pinch even with the Nightfall to make sure. He does get tagged right at the end, has no audio. A little bit of that decay as well.
Still has the Blade Storm. That back pocket. Lockdown gonna have to be invested.
Well. I mean, Gen.G, they really want to make sure that they don't get pinched from the flank as well. They are prepared for everything, and Lakia with a snap on, but something with a flick to answer back. And now the lockdown goes through. Still not enough time, though. The defuse already started, so some heroics from something, but a desperate round win for Gen.G.
And I mean, consolation prize, I suppose, for Paper X is you got him to use 2 big ults in a 2v3. That's like a huge win in my book for Paper X. Yeah, you lose the round to that early aggression, essentially. A great idea, great change of tempo for Gen.G to just kind of push out. And it looked like Paper X might have been somewhat ready for it, at least on the C side, but the B side caught him enough off guard. It was able to be a punch through for Gen.G, get a much needed round win, especially with rifles in hand, to bank up a little bit of extra economy, because it is deep pockets for Paper X right now. They've got some ults again. Showstopper once again for Jing going to be available. You do have the Viper's Pit for Munchkin. See how he wants to use it, but I think he's going to be a little bit patient for it. You want to make sure that you aren't going to be cleaned out early. Maybe if they get a spot on you and the Showstopper in the right place.
Yeah, generally, Gen.G, one of those teams that does like to wait for a little bit of a surefire way to send that ultimate, even if it's on a timer near the end of the round, something like that. So we'll have to wait and keep our eyes on Munchkin. But like you mentioned, Gen.G's ult economy, a little bit mixed up, whereas Paper X, they've got their options even with the operator. Now Texture waiting on the C side for Gen.G with his own operator that allows his teammates to be ready with a trap play near Baby Door. Paranoia already spent though, so Charon just gonna have to wait for the crossfire. The tripwire sent, no reaction. Forsaken trying to bait this out. He knows that this door is open for a reason. And now the execute on through the revolving door is gonna happen.
Wow.
Jing sends it, uses the Showstopper as an extra boost to move forward, dodge all the bullets, and the site has just been broken open. So we do see a bit of a trade near Baby Door, but something is the guard. Can you get through him?
No idea.
The barrel. No idea. Lakia still hidden right by it. They sniffed something, but not how close enough it was. And now the retake. Gen.G, 3 members ready for the flood. Lakia just trying to draw a lot of aggro towards that Baby Door side. Draw them out into the open. Mind Freak going for a bit of a Hail Mary with the from the shadows. Meteor going to stabilize the shot first. But now the pinch. Gen.G, they hear his shots. And it's going to be a peek out from Texture, but he gets taken down. Mind Freak still going for it. Half already done by Munchkin. The defuse, they just want to try to stick it. But the spam's coming through, it's ticking down. You have to stick it now. And he's pinpoint on for the headshot. And Devi will clean it up. A 2v2 victory for Paper X.
Yeah, beautiful read here by Mind Freak. Been so good for Paper X on this half. Using his ult at the perfect time. Putting himself right at drop. An interesting spot to go. You might expect, as Gen.G, that he goes a little bit deeper with it. Have to invest the Viper's Pit. Try to make this retake a little bit safer. But the crossfire good. Texture just not quite able to find that shot with the picked up operator off of something. Now something is going to grab that judge. Finally probably going to invest the Blade Storm as well. Got that 3-man execute towards Rubble for Gen.G, but nobody from Paper X is even going to be in that destination.
Oh man, I love this from Paper X. Anytime Gen.G is weak on their buys, it's going to be Meteor who's targeted, but you can't count this guy out with single shots. He'll take down 2. It's going to be the Rays and Sky down something, also taking a big hit. And that will slow down Paper Rex. So Meteor, a bit of an adjustment there. Instead of waiting in the site, pushes out towards Mound to challenge them early. Allows his teammates to come for backup. And now B and C site have been flooded. They will be found through the neural theft.
And now they're going to change ideas. Saw too much pressure. Try to make it work onto B. Forsaken looking for the pick off the ping, but not quite able to find himself that kill. Plant going to be able to come down. Switch to the Vandal.
Oh, with the classic! Woo! Oh, takes him down. That's a rifle upgrade. Now Forsaken's lurk. Are they ready for this? They have no idea. Forsaken, he'll just take the 1 kill. He's happy to buy time to try to bring home this round victory. Tries to flick up, but that's a tough one. Lakia will be able to find that kill. Mindfreak dodges, and he won't be able to connect to the second one. Munchkin picking another with the Sheriff, and it's going to be the Thrifties of Genji that return.
Yeah, the classic Genji Thrifty. So good at this, and Meteor just a little bit further ahead than maybe Paper X was expecting. They got the ping off the flash, and I could see some level of potential preparedness there for Paper X that maybe somebody would be at that mound, but Meteor was just too fast and too good. And Forsaken tries to double pump a bit after he got that 1 lurk kill, but Lakia reads it perfectly, and that he's still going to be trying to pressure that angle. It's so nasty from Meteor there. I mean, you can see they're firing at him. They're pre-firing, trying to get to him. Meteor's just too quick, too good.
He's been in that position so many times before.
He's insane, man. I mean, with those, like you said, the one-tap weapons, there's few that are better.
Well, now Texture, he'll have to get an operator bot from his teammates. They were trying to look for one, but little did they know, Paper X didn't invest in another in that previous round. And there won't be another this time either as we go into the last couple of rounds of the first half. Paper X still leading 6-4. Something dashes ahead of Rubble, takes all this space, and he's ready for it as well. Sees the tag, sees Lakia getting hit right through the Toxa screen. No idea what hit him. And now 2 members of Genji still on the A side. But a lot of risk, tries to take the shot, but he's a little too late, only hits the Trailblazer. And another swing out, but Texture, good for another. Oh, that's going to be the double blast back. Completely draws the crosshair away. And Paper X seems to have good control of this A site once again.
The reaction protocols from Paper X are so good. Right on the back of that Trailblazer to try to set something up. Yeah, he dies, but immediately Jing satchels past the operator, knowing that he's stuck in place without using satchels of his own to get out. There's no quick out for Texture there, and Jing and Forsaken take perfect advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely an honest moment of, was it a burr, was it a plane? No, it was Jing. But by the time he figured that one out, Texture was down and out. Now it's going to be the 7th round win for Paper X. Finally bringing some good